Since you had these on and off conversations with Tim over the years, did you have ideas that you brought to Tim about where you wanted to see Lydia?
Well, I'll tell you something that I haven't said yet. I always wanted Lydia to end up with Beetlejuice. I know that sounds twisted, but that was my big pitch.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
I'm Josh Horowitz, and today on Happy, Sad, Confused, talk about a guest who needs no introduction. It's the one and only Winona Ryder, three-time guest on Happy, Sad, Confused.
Yes.
It only took... You got your own camera. You don't need to get in my shot, Winona. One of my favorite actors, one of my favorite human beings, and she is back with Beetlejuice. It only took 36 years.
Yeah.
But we're here, Winona.
And I think you might have manifested it.
Oh my gosh,
Honestly.
that is high praise.
Honestly. Do you remember Sundance?
It was, well, I went back. Okay, so first of all, congratulations on the film. I was telling you off, for the record, it's fantastic, the new one. So yeah, our history is kind of inextricably linked on Beetlejuice.
I know.
It was actually Toronto.
It was
12 years
Toronto, 12 years ago.
And I think, as I recall, and I sadly can't find the footage, but Tim had talked to me, and I guess I talked to you about what Tim had said about potentially doing a Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Is that what you recall?
And that's what set me off on this whole thing where I thought I'd blown it because you'd said something, that Tim had said something,
right.
and then I thought, oh my God, this is actually real, because Tim said something, and then I started talking, I was asked about it, and I was like, well, apparently it might happen.
Right.
Because of you.
No, I'm not gonna
and then it didn't happen. Because it's been there were, a
lot of false starts.
A lot of false starts, but always with the knowledge that, it had to be perfect, no compromising. It had to be obviously Michael and Catherine and Tim. I think my biggest fear was Tim would end up producing it or something like that. And it had to be the way it had to be. And I guess it's sort of kismet, because it did, it did work out.
I will say, as you know, obviously a diehard fan, and watching it is so pleasurable because it is, while it honors the original, it is uniquely different and weird and sweet in its own ways.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased, selfishly, as such a fan of yours, that you're not marginalized in this. This is as much your story. You're the lead in this, essentially co-lead with Jenna's character and Catherine.
I know.
And the fact that, we didn't get Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii 20 years ago. We got the right one.
Yeah, right.
I guess my question is, since you had these on and off conversations with Tim over the years, did you have ideas that you brought to Tim about where you wanted to see Lydia?
Well, I'll tell you something that I haven't said yet. I always wanted Lydia to end up with Beetlejuice. I know that sounds twisted, but that was my big pitch.
Really?
Always to Tim. Because, look, I know I was 15 in the first one. It would have been weird.
Right. Nope.
But am I 51 or 52? I actually can't remember. I was born in October 29th in 71, but I always think I'm Anyway, I just have this love. I don't know if it's just because I love the movie and I love Michael and I love Tim but I have this this dream that they will end up together as just this bickering kind of George and Martha,
Yeah. Well, no spoilers, but you might have gotten some of your wish here.
I know it sounds really twisted, but I do remember in all of our talks, they were always at night, and Tim would always pace with his notebook, and that was always the thing. I was I know it, but what if,
Well, it's so funny you say that because, you've said that in recent times, that it was very covert. And Michael has said this, too. None of you guys wanted this to ever get out to horrible people like me to say, Beetlejuice 2 is happening, because you wanted it to happen in the right way and not prematurely say it's happening.
Oh, yeah. I didn't tell anyone. Literally, I didn't tell anyone. Didn't tell my representatives. I mean, it was very, because when Tim says it's just between us, it really is. And you don't want to be the one that, runs their mouth. Yeah. So, but it did, it was, the first time I really thought, actually, oh my God, this was at the Frank and Weenie press junket, because he just took me aside. He's like, I really want to do this. But it's got to be, And I was like, yeah, I know. But so in the next couple of years and the next, it was always.
Even that took a while.
Yeah. So I remember the last time we met, it was it was right when did Wednesday come out?
2 years ago, probably.
Right, but was it the fall or it was?
Probably for
Halloween,
it was
towards the end of the year, and he was sort of in town for that.
Yeah.
And drove out there, and it was the same thing, and he. I said, so.
Are we doing this?
Is this really, again, I just started with, and he's like, oh, no, yeah. And he gave me a script. And that was the first. And so, and I was like, but, okay, so Tim, but when? Are you doing something first? And then it's because they take 3 years, directors take, to. And he's like, oh, no.
We're moving.
We're doing it it was the end of the year. He's like, what, March? And I was like.
You're like, I've been waiting for 30 years, but I need a little more time.
But also, I had this whole Stranger Things. And but I did, as you know, when I met with him, I had that clause. I was like, and God, that meeting must have been in 2015.
Probably.
We started in 20.
The show came out in 2016, so probably.
Yeah, but I was like,
then,
if this is my only thing, is if this happens, and so obviously it was almost going to happen. But then I never really imagined I'd still be doing Stranger Things, and then we had the strike,
right? And
then we had the other strike, so we had this sort of window. But then the terror kicked in, and because I started thinking, oh, Lydia's a mom. I never imagined her in a relationship or with a kid. I really had this thing of her just off in her own world, or up in the attic, happy, communing with,
Sure.
But I had this sort of terror about how does she love? How does she have a who is that part? And I was getting sort of, I think it's normal to get anxiety before something, but this especially because I wanted to keep her essence, and she's so sacred to me, and she that was that movie was, I was 15 and I had never been asked what I thought by a director. It was
this is the first time you actually had a voice on set. I before, and I'd only done 2 movies, but it was really this is your mark, and this is your cue, and I felt so included, and that's a really big thing when you're 15, and to be well, what do you think? Would you think you'd? I was like, you want to actually hear from me? Yeah.
You want it? Yeah. And so that was such a formative thing, and I really Lydia was just she's sacred to me, and to Tim, which is something really interesting because I didn't realize that on the first movie. I remember.
Oh, yeah, you were his surrogate.
I know,
absolutely.
But I didn't know that until afterwards when I heard him say it.
Right.
That he related to Lydia.
Right.
I actually, when we were making it, I don't know, I didn't know that, and like his protectiveness over her, and just like it meant so much to me, and so. To go, what's incredible is that he was able to recreate this intimacy and that like spontaneity of like, what do you think, and what do you want to try this, and because it's Tim and I trust him so implicitly, like, you can try stuff, and if it's terrible, he's not going to use it, and I can literally talk to him about anything. And there's just this trust, but it also felt that, like, on the first one, it was kind of like it felt like an indie. I don't think I ever met anyone from the studio.
Right.
We were just like...
Nothing about that movie strikes me as something that was...
Yeah, it was not being, like, overseen.
Yeah,
like,
it felt rogue in the best possible way.
It felt complete. Right. It was, like, such a, and... I would have thought, and I think I must have like put it in my head, like, because of the buzz and like the talk, like this was going to be, but he somehow was able to like create this environment that felt completely safe and free and spontaneous. And that might be just a testament to like the great producers.
Right.
Because I never had like a sense of, any
mandated what this
notes,
has to be, right.
Coming in. And we were changing things up every, all over the place. And it was just like, it was really emotional, Josh.
I'm
it was
sure.
really emotional. And I get emotional talking about it.
Well, and the other aspect is, like, as personal as it was to Tim and to you and the cast, et cetera, is, as you well know, for 35, 36 years, Lydia is so important to so many people. And like every young person, then to now, when they watch that movie, they see themselves in that character, that line, I myself am stranger and unusual. It's like, oh my God, I'm like, everyone feels that way.
Right.
And was that something that must be like a continuing, nourishing feeling that didn't go away. If anything, it's continued.
I mean, I think... I feel like it was later. It happened sort of later, after a while. I feel like, I don't know if that's like a comment on society, but like people started coming up to me and saying that, and it was really, really moving. And it was like a lot of different ages of people, but it was a lot of times from young people. And I Justin used the word emo, which I just picking up on the slang. The kids are teaching me on Stranger Things. So, like, I guess that's become more in a weird, like, accepted and stuff, and not so. I mean, it really wasn't. That was more of like a subculture when back in 87, 88,
When I think of that time, and especially young women, I think of that character, I think of maybe like Ali Sheedy in the Breakfast Club. Yeah. It's like it's on one hand of those kind of examples.
It truly is, which is why, like, it's such a badge of honor, I mean, and it's so, I do think I did find, like, there's so much heart in this one, and there's a lot of love. At least that I saw one cut of it like a while ago. But I felt, I don't know if it was because like I was there, like I was really emotional, and even with the characters that, I mean, there is a love, and there is sort of, I don't know. I think with Jenna, I mean, she and I don't think it was really weird. It was like I found like the younger me in her, and only because she has the same like reverence for film, and it's sort of like we share that like religiously, and like her, oftentimes I will be on a set and something will remind me of like a movie that but I don't even bother saying it anymore because no one will no one will know what it is, right? Like, and I remember when we were doing this, like the train thing, and I was like thinking of Brief Encounter.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to even say it. And then I look at Jen and she's like, Brief Encounter. And it was just like, and I mean, our first night filming, she starts talking about I Am Cuba. And the like how they did the crane shot in that. And I'm like, I love you. You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. Like so that bond was so, means so much to me. So there's a tremendous love there. There's a tremendous love, and I think now empathy with Delia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now I
where
get
that relationship is now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now I get it, what she was going, you know. But I do find this one, like, has just, like, and that there's, like, this sounds really twisted, but, like, there's love and death.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it begins on this kind of melancholy note, again, not to spoil things, but in terms of death, but also where your character is. Like, if you, and I rewatched the original, not that I needed to again this week, but like that movie ends with such a literal high and like and happiness and sweetness, and to see just like the reality of time.
I know. It's like and Jenna has that line, she's a broken person. Like, and that to me was really interesting because I do feel like as you get older, and certainly like my age, you can look back and be like, Jesus, what was I thinking? You know, like at certain times in your life where you were vulnerable and someone just like swooped in and it was suddenly you're doing something that, you know, and then you're just like
just hanging on, barely in control.
And these, you know, Justin, it's funny, like he's so great, you know, he really is great, and like what he brought to it, because that was my biggest challenge is like, why is she with this guy? Right. Like how, you know, Tim, we've had to protect her, you know, like that's sort of our natural thing.
Better. Yeah.
But Tim's like, you know, it happens though, you know, you just
the best of intentions suddenly.
Yeah, and you just like end up and you're like, what the hell? How am I get here? Oh, I gotta get this, you know. Yeah. And so it somehow like whatever Justin sort of brought really worked in terms of like just the sort of weird, like super codependent, predatory narcissism that he like, you know, he created Rory. Right. I didn't really know who Rory was until he got there, and you know, and I mean, just like those lines about like who he invited to the wedding, and it's like, but there's so many giveaways that. And I'm just sort of chalking it up to that she's like taking pills, that she's just like has blinders on, like okay, you know, and she must be just trying to process the grief of her dad and her this thing with her daughter, which is like eating her alive, yet is exactly, I think, what like she knows exactly. She knows what Astrid's going through, and that's what's so the lack of being able to communicate, and that she can't see, you know, the husband. You know, it's all very. Somehow it made sense. I don't know. I was nervous, and then it all just sort of clicked.
Guys, I'm so excited to talk about GreenChef, our sponsor on Happy, Sad, Confused this week, primarily because we just had an amazing meal thanks to GreenChef. We made delicious quesadillas that were easy, that were delicious, and were actually healthy, no guilt whatsoever. Don't let the back-to-school season set back your nutrition. Green Chef is making it easy to stick to your healthy eating habits with a new, more flexible menu featuring over 35 customizable recipe options each and every week. New options include doubling your portion of protein or veggies, or swapping to a plant-based protein like organic tofu or tempeh. Something for everybody with Green Chef. Plus, you can take your clean routine further with 2 times the support. Green Chef's healthiest menu ever, and access to thousands of top-rated gyms and fitness studios worldwide from ClassPass. For a limited time, new Green Chef subscribers will also receive 50 free credits to use at ClassPass, about a month's worth of membership. Plus, think about the menu options. Each week features rotating options that suit a variety of lifestyles, including a Mediterranean diet, maybe you're a plant-based diet person, maybe you're looking for calorie smart or keto. Green Chef has something for literally everybody. Go to greenchef.com/happysadclass for 50% off your first box plus 50 free credits with ClassPass. That's code HAPPYSADClass at greenchef.com/happysadclass to get 50% off your first box plus 50 ClassPass credits. greenchef.com/happysadclass. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
You say you were nervous, and you know, from our past conversations, I feel a connection with you because, like, I feel like we both have an inner neuroses, a little anxiety.
Oh, yeah. You think?
Very ironic considering what we do.
I know.
And I'm curious for you, have you over the years kind of figured out how you manage that, like that side of you, and yet you are so amazing at switching off and being so comfortable and so confident, obviously, when the cameras come on?
You mean?
I mean, like
me.
I mean, like, you know, day to day, we all have our anxieties and neuroses.
Yeah,
whatever.
totally.
And that's always going to be there. Whatever.
Yeah,
it is what it
is. That is life.
That is what we call life.
Yes.
But the fact that you can key into something different and be like the best version of yourself, most confident version of yourself.
Yeah.
In the script.
I think, honestly, I got. And I'm telling you this because I don't, and it's you that's getting this exclusive.
Okay.
When I was doing the press junket for Age of Innocence, Daniel Day-Lewis gave me the best advice because we were both like going through stuff at the time. He's like, just keep talking. And so they can't ask you. Just ramble.
Right.
And
at the time.
I was like, oh, you know, and that, I mean, that was sort of funny.
Yeah.
But I am like a natural, like if I connect with someone like I do you just get to talking and like it does, it can, it's like, I think Philip Roth or John Updike wrote this great passage about like how your mind can be like a freeway and there's like these ramps and you just go off and then you're like talking about something else, but then you get back on the freeway. And I don't know, it really...
It's called podcasting.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
It really like resonated with me because I do have this weird... I am interested in so many different things and I do have like a very... a very good memory, but it's often about like really random things. But I, when I get comfortable, I like to, you know, and I think it could because I spent so much time not getting to do that, and I still do. I mean, nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about on what I want most of the time.
I get about 85%.
And then you just kind of you do. But I mean. A lot of people are like, she's so weird. Like, she won't stop doing what the hell? I can tell you a story, man. I was doing an interview with a guy, and he thought he had turned his thing off, and I heard him like, Jesus Christ, what was she talking about? And I was like, oh, I thought, but I was just like, I was like, we were talking about life and the history and stuff. But it's funny because I always go back to what Daniel said.
Yeah, keep talking.
Yeah, but then I'm sort of naturally just,
But see, you land the plane. You came right back to where we were.
Yeah.
Can we go off on some tangents? You
Yes.
mentioned Age of Innocence. That reminds me. We've never talked about that film, which is one of my favorites.
It's so good.
Oh, my God. Your scene towards the end, you and Newland, May and Newland, where we kind of realize the depths of May.
I know.
Do you remember anything about shooting that? Because that is such a key to that character, and it's just...
I remember everything about shooting that. I mean, that was one of those... There are movies, and Beetlejuice is one of them, where you were like, I gotta be present for every fucking second of this, because this is like a dream come true.
Right.
Like I'm working with Scorsese, and like it was insane. So I remember a lot. Now, what does happen though is you're in a really, really tight corset. And I do have to credit that corset with some of my performance, because you become so repressed because you are physically
constrained.
It's literal.
Yeah.
But I do remember when we were shooting this scene where I walk in and I'm taking my hat off and I embrace him. And Marty came up and I had my hat pin and he turned it around so it's like pointing right at like Daniel's jugular.
Amazing.
And like those little details were all the time.
Yeah.
And that part was so, it's a part where you don't know until the very end. And
it makes you watch it again and reevaluate everything you've just seen, too.
Yeah, and there's something, you do think about people who maybe don't make it to the end and like think that you're And because I remember someone clearly hadn't seen the end and was, but that was such a huge.
Oh my God.
I feel like that was sort of like my graduation too, because as when you're a teen actor and a kid, you're always hearing about the transition into adult roles and like how it's impossible, and then you're either a daughter or you're too young to be like the DA, or even the Ricky cop. Like you can't do. There are these like years, and you either
go backward or you go forward. You're like, am I still a teenager? Or am I gonna be
I feel like Age of Innocence really was huge.
We've talked before about Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it always saddens me when, like, I talk to actors who don't get the same enjoyment out of something because of where they were. And I've talked to Gary about this too. I mean, Gary.
Oh, I know does he remember?
he admittly was going through a real tough time.
Yeah, no, I know.
And is now the sweetest man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just love where he is and how humble he is.
I know.
No. But obviously, you all could have had a better time actually making it.
I know.
Is there a scene that you're able to appreciate in that film now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that whole time was sort of magical. Like those months we spent in Napa. Yeah. Like it's all, by the way, on video.
Right.
There's like a making of that I saw on YouTube that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And but yeah, you kind of see, Gary's going through some stuff, and but I was like acting across from Tom Waits.
Right.
I literally.
That doesn't happen very often.
That doesn't happen. No. And that was just, I mean, again, like this is a miracle. Like this is everything I want to do in my whole life. Yeah. And Francis, I mean, I do have a lot of great great. And Richard E. Grant. And then also that Michael Ballhaus shot Age of Innocence too. So so I was with that same like camera crew for like over a year.
Right.
You know, doing both of those back to back.
If you'll indulge me, there are some supposedly famous movies that didn't work out for whatever reason. Tell me if any of these jog any memories.
Okay.
You're welcome to dive in or not, okay? I'm just going to rattle a few off. Jerry Maguire, Hudsucker Proxy, Fight Club.
Oh my God.
Do you remember any of those auditions?
I remember Hudsucker Proxy. Yes. I was, so I auditioned a few times and like I was getting, I wanted to work with them so badly. I worship the Coen brothers, obviously, as does everyone. And it was like the ultimate, like Barbara Stanwyck, you know, and I can do that. I wanted like that opportunity and to just show them. And I remember because I was also auditioning for Fearless with Jeff Bridges.
Peter Weir,
and I remember that audition, it was really around the same time, I think, Jeff Bridges, who I love, like wouldn't kiss me because I was like too young. And at the end of the scene, he was supposed to kiss me, and I was like, you know, and he he kissed my forehead. He's like, you're like my daughter's age, you know? And I was like, no. But then the Hudsucker Proxy audition, I got a few callbacks.
Yeah.
My final callback was while I was doing Age of Innocence. So I had to leave the set in a corset and like get in a cab and drive up town and get into the building in a full costume.
Right.
And then because I was late, and I like undid it, and I like quickly changed. And then by the time all of that happened and Tim Robbins was cast, I was like so discombobulated. Like I was like circulation started happening, and I completely blew it. I did. And they were so nice about it, and they gave me, and I still have this because I framed it. They gave me Barton Fink stationery from the hotel.
Love it.
And because I was like, you don't understand. My dad, you know, you captured writer's block. And, you know, like I was.
It worked out for everybody.
Yeah.
It's fine. You were fine.
I know,
Jennifer
but I
was
remember
amazing. It's okay.
I was so happy that Jennifer got it because I loved her so much, and I sent her flowers, and I was like, I'm glad it was you. You know, I mean, if you want to.
Right.
She's amazing.
I know where Tim's talked about never wanting to, as he shouldn't, do a sequel to Edward Scissorhands. But
oh, God.
You guys did do amazing.
Well, don't I get super old? Like at the end of the movie,
That's true. We know where she ended up.
I was in
selling bed
6 hours of prosthetics with next to Vincent Price. That was quite a day.
Can I ask you that we've never talked about you and Timothee Chalamet shooting that
I know.
commercial a few years ago. How surreal was that? What was it like to see him in full-on Edgar Scissorhands?
Well, it was crazy. Tim gave the okay because I was like, what are we doing? Are you sure? And how on earth did I give birth? That seems very, very violent.
That's a lot of questions.
I know, but that's where I go, you know.
Right.
But I arrived there, and he was like in full.
He was already
full,
yeah.
And it was just so surreal. But he was, you know, and he can't exactly,
Hugs are hard, as we've seen from the original movie.
But
yeah.
He was great. He was really something special. And guess what? I remembered him from Homeland season 2.
Yeah.
He's like the vice president's
son, yeah.
who I think dies in the explosion. But I wrote his name down. I'm telling you, I know. I wrote Sadie Sink's name down. I wrote.
Wait, who did you write down?
Sadie Sink. When I saw her
really?
on The Americans in like one scene,
Yeah.
I was like, this girl. There's something about this girl.
You're going places.
Yeah, and I think I took a picture of the entry because I was like, Timothee Chalamet. This kid, like I just saw where, he's so talented.
We did get to see you and Keanu finally reunite a few years back. My question is, has there ever been talk? I want to see Winona in a John Wick movie.
Oh.
Have you guys ever even contemplated? Could I see you in that world? Could you imagine yourself in that world? The answer could be no.
I feel like there's no. I mean, if it involved a lot of stunts, I'm like thinking of my bones. I mean, he's such a. Oh my God, I would literally do anything though with him. Like he is so special. Hey, is there going to be another one?
John Wick. There was news just yesterday that they're supposedly shooting next year. Supposedly.
Oh my God.
What are the texts like between you and Keanu? I feel like you two are like the biggest Luddites on the planet.
I know, but we do text, and he always and we always say who it is, even though it says it on the text. So he's always like on his birthday, I mean, always like, happy birthday, my husband. And he always and I put, Noni. And then he's like, hey, wife, love you, KR57. Like on each birthday, he's like, KR57, or whatever his age is. And he's always done that.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the best. I know.
A couple things. Just you're in the middle or towards the end, I think, on Stranger Things.
I know.
Amazing.
It's ending.
Have you guys done the final read-through? Have you read the script?
No. I know. It's really weird.
It's taking
apparently, one of the actors knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, last time I talked to you and David was like, I've known forever.
Does he just say that?
He might just be saying.
I think he's such a ham. Like he will. It's so him.
Yeah.
But
so you actually still don't know.
I don't know that we did a read through of the 7th.
Right.
I mean, it's 8 episodes, and we did the read through of the 7th. Wait, what was I doing? Because it was like, I was here in New York because there was a day of
early press stuff.
Global content? I don't know what that was. I was so confused.
Welcome to 2024 publicity.
I don't know what even content.
We're making content right now. Don't you feel it?
I know, but why do we call it content?
It's the worst word ever.
It's a terrible word. It's terrible. But apparently, if someone says, I mess with you, it's a good thing. No, seriously.
Did the kids in Stranger Things
yes,
you into
because
this?
I kept apologizing to people when they said that because I thought they were saying, I fuck with you. And I was like, I'm sorry. I recently.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure they taught you a lot. Taught you shipping, etc. Jobber.
Oh, God, shipping. And then there's I just realized, so Stan is not a person.
Nope.
I don't know. I don't know.
This is the two saddest people to be having this conversation.
There's a game that the kids play with their phones where they do that.
Okay.
Do you know?
Like heads up kind of thing?
It's and things come on the screen. Yeah. It's like trivia.
Yeah.
And today's trivia, I know nothing, but I know everything about other decades.
Let's play Trivial Pursuit 80s,
I know.
90s. I got that.
I love Trivial Pursuit. Where is that? I want Trivial Pursuit, not content.
No content.
No.
We're not making content, but we are talking. Wait, here's the question on Stranger Things, without spoiling anything. Because I feel like I'm a pusher for the Jopper fans out there. Are they going to be satisfied? Is there stuff that you're excited for the fans to see of this relationship in this final season?
Oh, well, I think so. That is they shred things.
Right.
They take them away. I have literally, Josh, every script with original script with every call sheet and every call sheets used to be handwritten.
Sure.
And I inherited
the
archivist.
That's a nicer name for it, yes.
Archivist. My parents are archivists, but I save everything.
Right.
And I'm not used to getting it taken away from me at the end of the day and shredded. So that's what they do on Stranger Things, but I sometimes won't let them. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving you this. It's like the sides.
Right.
Which is, I always know, I'm always prepared. But things change.
Yes.
And then you're handed sides, and then, but the shredding, I can't believe it. It's it's so insulting. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I guess some people.
But not you.
Not me.
Our time is sadly running short. Is there?
No.
I know. Is there anything I can manifest for you since I tried to help manifest this one all these years?
Well.
I have some votes, but I'd like to hear from you. Yeah.
I mean, it begs the question.
It does beg the question. Veronica, where are you?
No.
So I just saw Christian at Comic-Con. Do you know this, that he's being directed by Michael Lehman on Dexter right now?
No.
Yes. It blew my mind, too, when he told me that.
Oh, my God.
I know.
And do you know Michael's son is like a writer on the morning show?
I did not know that.
Xander, who was this little kid who, have you ever seen like a 2-year-old like flirt with you? So Michael's son, Xander, he'd like flirt with me, like very blatantly. It was the weirdest thing. And he would like wear these little like fake gun holsters and with nothing else. He'd be like, hey. And then I like ran into him and he's like, I'm Xander. And I was like, oh, Xander.
He still got it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Michael is directing Christian. I know. I was really sad about Shannon. That was
oh my gosh.
terrible.
Yeah.
Because she was treated horribly by the press and by the culture.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize like how, but so I rewatched it, and it's, but God, that would, but I don't think it can, because of like,
the violence and
yeah,
it's a little trickier now.
But it also begs the question of this one though, that
we're saying more in Beetlejuice. I can't say it 3 times.
Yeah, but it does beg the question.
It does beg the question. Okay, I know we literally are wrapping. A couple rapid fire things. The happy, sad, confused, profoundly random questions.
Okay.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay. There's no wrong or right answer.
Yeah.
But that is the right answer.
Okay.
Do you collect anything? We just went through the hoarding a little.
Oh, yes. I collect. God, what don't I collect? Yeah.
Okay.
I collect little scraps of paper where people used to write their phone numbers down.
Love it.
I have like a bulletin board with all of that. Yeah.
Is there any actor that you've recently been mistaken for? There's only one Winona Ryder. How could you be mistaken for anybody? Has it happened?
Literally, when I was leaving the hotel, they were saying, Jenna, look over here, Jenna. But I think I was like, really?
Hey.
I mean, the ones that I've gotten, which are so incredible, are Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley, which is
Good
like
group to be in.
insane because they're so gorgeous.
Is there a worst note you've ever gotten from a director that sticks out?
Ooh. I've gotten some really bad notes, yeah.
Without naming names, unless you want to.
When directors do the "and on your own time," there's something about "and on your own time."
You can say action. It's okay. You can.
Yeah, and you're just sort of like, what? You mean now? Like that. But there, of course. Oh God, there's all sorts of terrible notes. It's usually has to do with like positioning.
Right.
And then you feel, because there's a whole thing with the camera where you have to pretend it's not there, but you have to know how to, move with it, and it's this, very opposing ideas, but I think that is what, is so incredible about Cassavetes and Jenna, like what they were able to do with that sort of intimacy where you feel like you're in the room.
100%.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of happy, sad, confused, an actor who makes you happy.
Oh my gosh, there are a few. Makes me just
Yeah, you see them on screen. You're in the mood.
Keanu, Michael.
Yeah.
Daniel. miss that guy. I miss torturing him because I got to torture him twice.
Yeah, you're good at that. We need to complete the trifecta.
Yeah.
Movie that makes you sad?
Ponette.
Oh.
The French film breaks my heart. Au revoir les enfants. Breaks my heart.
And a food that makes you confused.
A food. Yeah. Oh, there's so many things that make me confused.
How much time do you have?
I have to go with harkening back to Big, the baby corn.
Oh, sure.
That just is very
confusing. What
confusing,
what
and it seems like it was like man-made,
right.
And like where is it?
Yeah, feels like a Tim Burton creation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We brought it full circle.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I hope this day would come. I wasn't sure it ever would come, but it has come.
It's come.
We did it, Winona.
We did it.
You did it.
You did it. You were a big part of this. You're the first person I confirmed.
Oh my God.
I didn't get back to anyone except for you.
I appreciate you.
Because I was like so superstitious. Like if I say anything, it's gonna, but.
You have always been the sweetest. I positively adore you. You know that. Congratulations on the new film.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk again soon.
Yes, we will.
All right.
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.